Games with great soundtracks are criminally underrated. I mean, there are a few examples against this, such as Sans Undertale from video game series Undertale. But there's a good chance you've never heard of Furi or Katana Zero, which takes the cake when it comes to my favorite OSTs ever. But if you have, good on you. However, recently my mind has changed about this with a game called Everhood. I bought this game on a whim because a friend had recommended it to me. At first, I thought it was just a clone of Undertale, but then this happened. I mean, this just blew my mind, and like that, I fell in love. I don't know if it was bait on my nostalgia for playing Guitar Hero a lot as a kid or what, but man, this game is mesmerizing. That, in conjunction with a relatively untouched genre, just had me hooked immediately. And that's not to say the rest of the game isn't great, because, believe me, it is. I love this game so much. I went out and contacted the devs to answer some questions I had about development and the game itself. And to my surprise, they actually responded. It's refreshing to have such a nice and honest dev team who are good with community relations. So on that note, let's start with the music. Now, of course, this is all opinion. It's okay if you don't like the music from this game or the other ones I mentioned. However, it's definitely something to appreciate. Really, there's bound to be a track or two that you would like. The music in this game is truly unique, and it amazes me how each song fits the character you are facing. It's honestly impressive when a game manages to connect a song to a character. Now when I hear some of the tracks, I remember the fight and how cool it was. Because of this, I had to ask the devs about which one came first, the music or the characters. And, well, it makes sense why they complement each other so well, because for everything that was made in-house, the music came before the characters. It's stunning how well it works out. I just can't stop gushing about it. Really, listen. This meshes perfectly with the battle system they have in place. It might sound corny, but each fight is pretty much a dance, and I think it helps ingrain the music and make it more memorable. Because the faster paced and more chaotic songs match the gameplay, fast and chaotic. And even more so later in the game when you unlock the ability to fight back. Now the music has more meaning due to the more careful planning to land an attack. But the music is only part of the game. As I had mentioned earlier, the gameplay is very similar to that of Guitar Hero, but rather than wanting to hit the notes, you want to avoid them. They follow the rhythm and the theme of the fight, which carries its own weight. That's the weirdest part about this rhythm game. You don't dodge or jump with the beat, you want to avoid the beat. Xena is the best and I love her, by the way, that's my wife. What the fuck? Who keeps changing this shit? As I was saying, the gameplay is amazing. Honestly, one of a kind, just like my wife. It's the perfect blend. The difficulty is definitely not something to ignore either. I mean, there are different difficulty options, but I suggest playing at least on hard. To me, this feels like the perfect choice. This is something that has been really bothering me with games these days, the dreaded difficulty slider. I am a firm believer that games should have one set difficulty so that way it can be fleshed out as much as possible, allowing for a more unique experience. Of course, games need accessibility options for the impaired, or more casual gamers. But having difficulty just be a change in stats is kinda boring. Rant over. Anyways, The characters are extremely charming and likable. Even the villains of the game are lovable. Very rarely can a game enchant me with its writing and character development, and yet, this one succeeds. If you enjoyed Undertale's writing, then you'll definitely enjoy this game. Can you notice a trend? Well, that's actually because the main inspiration behind this game was, in fact, Undertale. Look, here's proof. There have been a lot of people trying to capture the charm of Undertale and don't really succeed. I'm not going to go into any spoiler territory, so don't worry. But the basics of the story is that you choose to become immortal in this new, exciting world. When you awake in your new body, a thief steals your arm and gives it to a large pig. As strange as this is, your goal is to now get your arm back. Throughout the game, you explore unique and creative worlds behind mysterious doors, meeting new characters and recurring ones. This is done extremely well, giving the game a solid development and allowing players to feel invested in them. I think it's fitting for these immortal beings to just kind of change things up every once in a while, considering, well, they live forever. The game tackles the themes about immortality and the toll it takes on people pretty well. It's able to stay upbeat and lighthearted, then shift to somber and depressing themes very quickly, yet smoothly. So, slight spoiler, there is actually an ending to the game that requires you to navigate a corridor for roughly 3 hours of game time. Along the hall are tally marks on a wall showcasing how long an eternity really is. The only awful part about this ending is you can't auto-run, because about 100 rooms in, rocks appear, so you have to navigate and be attentive to the whole time. When asked about this, the devs had this to say. That's really all I can go into without potentially ruining something, so I'll leave it there. I don't really know how to smoothly fit in the rest of the interview for what's left of this video, so I'll just go over the remaining questions. I had asked plenty about development and got some interesting responses. When asked about any delays, they had told me about some health issues that occurred during production. It's amazing that even with these issues, they pressed on and still delivered a product. I also asked about how they came up with the design for the combat and a majority of the gameplay. They sent me a link to all the devlogs, which are very interesting, and if you are at all wanting to get into making a game, I suggest giving them a look, as it provides some really helpful insight. Link in the description. I had asked about future plans because, well, I want more of what they can make. They don't have anything planned at the moment, but are wanting to continue making games. Just out of curiosity, I asked about their favorite character and got this funny response. Although, I do agree these guys were great. Finally, I asked if they were satisfied with how everything went, meaning the final product, release, and reception, and got this lighthearted response. I really appreciate the answers I got from the team and the opportunity to even ask them. Everhood truly is a unique experience, one that is too few and far in between. The game might not be crazy popular, so if this is your first time hearing about it, that's okay. The game is cheap, but it's worth every dollar. It has plenty of replayability, and trust me, you will be engrossed. If not, I highly recommend giving the soundtrack a listen, as it's strong enough on its own. My personal favorite is Obedient Servant. So, with that being said, this is the end of the video. Expect to see new and exciting things from this channel, as my team and I have some new projects in the works. Thank you to everybody here being credited, and I can't stress this enough. Thank you all the viewers. The warm responses and kind comments really make my day when I read them. Get ready for a Halloween episode.